Hey everyone, this is Tracy with Color Me This. We're on episode 179 of the Daily Color. This is the small version of Daily Color. Yesterday I did the big version in Romantic Country, so today we will be in Small Victories, and I have decided that we're going to go super small today. I had already mentioned yesterday that this image right here that I colored a portion of, and I've covered it because I actually did some work to improve it, and I thought I really need to share with you guys how I did the finishing touches. So we are going to start with a partially started quarter of the circle to show you in a little bit quicker. And then I will probably go away and do this final section. Okay, and I've zoomed you in so you can have a good close look at what I'm doing. So these pencils have been sharpened very sharp, and I am going to start with the Mythos Black. And as soon as we finish with this, just fine-tuning the best we can make this very small image look, we will move on to the Irojiten, and I might even do 2 circles in the Irojiten because I think the Irojiten is a really good pencil for small spaces because it is a hard pencil that keeps its tip a very sharp point. So the first thing to do to make this particular background really shine is to get it much deeper, focusing on when I'm working on the side that I told you we have a light source that's off here to the left. So I will be choosing what portion of the side that is facing that light source will get this dark shadow. So I've shadowed that heart and I've shadowed that heart. So I'm just going to continue on adding a little more depth to this dark. It looked very flat, and I wanted you to be able to see how flat it looks if you're just going for a speed run here and you're not working on, how can I make this silly little image look as finished and polished as I can make it. So that's what I did with it when I decided, you know what, I'm just not getting into it as much as I think I could, so let's see what else can I do. So I've got pretty much 3 steps. There's a shadow I'm adding on the image itself. There's adding a shadow to the background, which is what I'm working on now. First, I'm just darkening it up. And then the final step is an erasing step. And those 3 additional steps takes what you saw as just a very flat, quickly colored, small image and makes it look nice and finished. Okay, so I'm getting a good amount of coverage. I should welcome you all to my channel and thank you for returning if you are a returning visitor. I am enjoying doing this greatly every single day. It torments my husband a little bit because I want him, he can be in the house. I don't mind him being in the house. And I do try to keep my coloring to well under an hour, although I find I do go over more often than under, because if I'm in the middle of something, I want to get it to a finishing point. Now this is interesting. This paper is a very smooth paper, but right here I have this little tick, and it might be a mark that I put on it at some point, having this open. So now that we've got it a nice even level of darkness, but not black, I can still see my shadows. I put those in early because I wanted to make sure that I didn't go too dark. think I mentioned yesterday in the big series that it's far easier to stay lighter and add dark than it is to go way too dark and then have to subtract the dark. You have your limitations when you do that. Okay, so now I've got my two representative shadow marks. They still look very shadow-like, so I'm going to go through and add shadows. I can sharpen my pencil. I've got my sharpener here. And for such a tiny image where you're just really challenging yourself, it'll make it so much easier if you just keep your pencil sharp. Sharp, sharp, sharp. I am even adding shadows to the circles. You'll also notice that circle does not look gold. It's because I had this silver that I was going to use as an underlayer, and I didn't like it as an underlayer, but it was out here. So I ended up using it on just a couple of the circles here and there. So I hope I picked the biggest impact to me. And this heart, it's facing the wrong way, but I'm going to do the shadow on that one side. You know, all on the left side of every element on the page is where the shadows are going to be put. Now then we have a couple of these images, and I could either make my circle a little bigger to fully cover them. I'm doing it very soft before I commit. All right, so that way I'm going to go back and add a little more. I will say I have a very soft hand. So if you have a heavy hand and this really frustrates you, I do apologize. It is just like some of us are naturally light with our hand, and some people are heavy with their hand. So you'll have to really work at this if you want to get the most bang for the buck. Because if you make the main part of the black too dark, you're not going to see these shadow lines I'm putting in. They just won't show up. I think this was my original heart, and I'm coming back doing it darker. There's another silver circle. Oop. Now, see, I need to soften. I told you I'm soft-handed, and then look what happens. So, sharper. If you go sharper, you don't have to go as hard of pressure. See, you don't really need a ton of pressure as long as you keep these metallics sharp. Okay, we're almost done with step one. And I know that this probably is not, I guess, a thing you will do often, but every once in a while you might have a very small image, you know, like the little tchotchke items in the Romantic Country page on the bookshelf. Could benefit from this type of effect that I am doing. So there will be instances that you can use. I hope I'm not doing this backwards. I'm going to peek. I think I'm doing the whole thing backwards. Oh, this will be funny. Since my light source is over here, I'm supposed to be doing the other side as the shadow. So let's just finish, and it'll be interesting to see because this quarter will look the opposite of what I have just done. I can't believe I did that. But again, this is all for practice. So I don't expect my book to be perfect. It is my first book, and I am exploring different techniques and styles using soon to be 30 different pencil sets. I believe the Harmonious, hey, the Harmonious Castle Arts set that I bought. I checked yesterday, earlier in the day, and they hadn't shipped it yet, and I bought it Monday. So I sent them an email because I was curious, how responsive are they? I sent them a message and I said, do you have a ship date for me? I see that this is still hasn't moved from order received from Monday. And within, I'd say, an hour and a half, I received my "your package is on its way" message and a complimentary harmonious coloring book, a little digital coloring book. So that gives me something to fill my time while waiting till they arrive. Okay, one last star here, and then I'm going to move on. So now I need to take my shadows. I told you that I had grabbed, so this Peacock Topaz, I believe, is the dark blue. Yeah, because here's the light blue. So for each of the colors, except the gold, maybe I grabbed a gold, a darker. So the red has a dark, and the blue has a dark. I'm looking to see if my gold, I don't think I grabbed a dark gold, but I do have, I feel, enough on the Cretacolor, the big fatty metallic. So here's this one weird misprinted darker blue, and I am going to put shadows on the opposite. I want to have these look almost gem-like, raised up. All right, so those are the blues done. I need the darker, this is the dark red, Burgundy Rose 14. We'll sharpen this. You know, it's really funny. I have seen in the animal portrait communities on Facebook, there are people who make miniatures, and they'll use them. They'll like do a miniature for somebody and turn it into a keychain. Teeny tiny, like inchies. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of that if you do crafting, but I've done Stampin' Up! Card making for years, and sometimes when we have meetings, demonstrators, and we get together, we will have these little swaps. And I did inchy swapping once, and it was really kind of funny. Okay, so there's my dark side of like a gem. It raises up, and then there's the shadow line on the opposite side. And then I don't have, for the Go for Gold number 12, I do not have a darker gold, but I purposefully went a little bit lighter in this quadrant so that I could show you guys what the effect looks like. Okay, so then the last interesting little thing to do is to take your Tombow Mono 0, and again, I think I did this all backwards. Yeah, I did it all backwards. Okay. And I am taking the side opposite the shadow, and I am erasing just a little bit of both the background and the color. And clearly, because I'm not doing this perfectly, it's still showing. Like, I can see these nice lines. It's nice when you have a pencil like this black. I like the way the black is lifting, but where I did the dark, blue, it's not, and the dark red. So what I get is where I burnished pretty hard on these very dark areas of the heart and the diamond, the color is not lifting. It's like a resist effect. So we are starting to see a 3D effect happening on this whole image around each of the shapes. The little round circles can have some erasing. And I didn't even put a dark accent on these tiny round dots. I only added an accent on the stars. So like I said, my light source got a little messed up, but I still feel that I'm getting a nice 3D look going. Way overkill for this little tiny image, I know, but it's fun to try new things. So I hope that you're going to see, and I am now ready to reveal the other half. Now the other half, you can see I went darker. So I did really dark on the black, so I didn't have as much of an impact. And if I were to do this again, I would probably leave the background about this tone. So I might, just for fun, for Sunday review, I've left this unfinished. So I might finish this if I can come up with a third way to do it. So let me know, do you like the darker background or the lighter background where the shadowing pops more? So that is all I'm going to do on this, and we're going to move on to the next two rows. Okay, so ironically, I was talking yesterday, sharing that there was a fish circle. Here it is, and I looked carefully. It has one fish, but then I see some coral, 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 but then I see like an oak leaf. So I'm not really sure what we're supposed to do with this exactly, but I just thought I would play with it. I feel like the stroke thickness isn't thick enough for me to need to do any white inking. So I'm going to leave the colors as they are. And I haven't even picked out colors yet. So I have my swatch. I have my book right next to me with all 100 Irojiten pencils. I am so excited. So you're not going to see my swatch sheet because I have you zoomed in so much. But I'm just going to look for some aquatic colors. Oh, that's interesting. So for the background, I'm just going to grab a color that would not be the normal color I would go. And it is going to be for the background. And it is in the blues. And remember, these are really hard to read. So here I am, trying to read the shiny silver on the glossy white, which is very pretty, but maybe not so practical. Deep sea is a color. One of these days, I'm going to do an image, and I think Small Victories would be a fun one to do it in, and I am going to choose my colors by the name. So this one is called Deep Sea. By having EX, that means it's one of the extras. There's a dozen extras. There must be 10 extras. There are 10 extras because there's 90 in the sets. So I'm gonna go. Now this is a very hard pencil. You can see that it's gonna be very difficult for me to have a smooth coverage. But I'm just gonna start in the middle. And the reason why I'm starting in the middle is I think I'm going to fade out to a lighter aquatic color. And I'm not in a giant hurry, so if I don't finish this in the time I have left, maybe 15, 20 minutes left, I'll just pick it up where I left off. Tomorrow is Saturday, so it will be the last day of the week. So I will try to finish both of these with the Irojiten, and then I'm starting all over. I have done the random generation for the next round, which will be officially round 4. And the funny thing is, I worked on I like to program in Excel and I like to do macros, and I made a macro that it goes to my list, finds the row that has the number, and then I concatenated the name of the brand and then the pencil set name and size, so that on my list I get, because I have like 3 Brutfuners and 3 Colors, so I need to know which one it is that was chosen. So that was pretty cool. And guess what? The set is that we get to start with starting Monday. It is the Artex, which I am using already in the romantic country. But I'm okay with that. I didn't even think to maybe remove it from the list because it's going to get used twice a week until I finish that image. Okay, so I think I've got a nice basic coat. I have not gone in any darker, and I'm going to now pick I think Peacock Blue, which actually happens to be right next to it. So we're going 1 shade lighter. I could go either teal blue. I think I'll skip teal blue and do this one. This is Peacock Blue, and let's see what set this is. This is a Vibrant 6. I've gotten some really good comments from people this week. I really like to hear from you guys. It's very inspiring to me to know your thoughts. I did have one person, which is totally, I accept that everyone has their own thoughts, and sadly the 3 books that I have, coloring books, that I happen to have the duplicates of, so that I can kind of have my master copy and then what I'm coloring in copy. None of the 3 books are ones that this one subscriber is interested in coloring, and I knew that that was going to happen. Even me choosing this small Victories book, there's probably a lot of people that scoff at this book and how simple it is, and they're ready for the big stuff. And I say, I feel that this book really helped me gain a whole bunch of confidence while coloring. I was able to complete pages fairly quickly, get comfortable with switching gears almost every day to something new and different, and it was well worth the exercise. And yes, if you are curious, my husband does still think I'm a little insane. He's like, "You're not going to finish that book, are you?" And I'm like, "Oh yes, I am almost halfway through with this book now. I will be finishing it from front to back." And he just shakes his head at me. He thinks I'm a little bit nutty. He is probably right. But what it means is that I don't pop around randomly choosing like my favorite images, then I run out of favorite images, and I don't really have a strategy for how I will make myself do the ones that I don't like. And I know me, if I get stuck doing a bunch of images in a row that I am not liking, it will make me just stop coloring. So I have to keep it somewhat interesting for me, keep it changing, keep it moving. I would rather do some really fun images mixed in with some maybe really boring images. I think that will help me retain my interest and keep growing my skills. All right, so one more color. I want to go one lighter than this. And I think I am going to grab, I'm just trying to do a little overlapping of this lighter color. Okay, next color, let's grab turquoise. There's a color right below it called ice green. That's a little darker, but I'm gonna stick with the tropical. I can see I'm gonna have to go back in to the middle with the dark. Okay, I'm not going to worry about the very outermost edges. I can finish that up on my own. I'd like to get this darkened up. I am now holding all three of these fine pencils in my hand. We're going back to the darkest deep sea. I might erase this particular one, a little vine. Okay, so I might go back and try to get one more layer. I have to reacquaint myself with these pencils. I really enjoyed using them on the junk food page, as I call it. These pencils are like a nice, really crisp, clean looking pencil. And everything came out so nice. Some of the details like on that page are the same as this page, where there's just hardly any space to really, get into these corners. If you have a pencil that's super soft, it's just gonna kind of smoosh and make a mess. So I had a very pleasant experience with these. And I can see if you were a person who enjoys a very soft, buttery feeling pencil, even like the Color, the feeling of the Color and the Brutfuners, this pencil might be one that you just won't like. It will feel like you're working too hard to get the pigment down. Where for me, this feels like a really safe pencil. It's hard to go wrong. I can't accidentally put too much pressure and have a dark streak. A couple of the sets that I have, you do have to watch your pressure, because if you do end up with uneven pressure, the results get kind of streaky looking, and it's a bunch of work to even it all out. That requires a lot of adding, subtracting until the mark that you've accidentally put kind of melts away. All right, so I'm gonna shift to our middle color, which is peacock blue. I didn't even tell you what turquoise is. A pastel, P17. Back to the middle tone. I could sharpen this. So unlike the metallics that I've been working with in this book, the Castle Arts that have like a satin to matte sort of finish, these feel like a narrow Artex. The Artex are a glossy paint finish, and these have a very similar feel to the Artex because these are very glossy. Though I don't think the diameter is as wide. They feel a little bit on the slender side. Yeah, these have a nice, smooth feel on this paper. There's not a lot of drag. They're pretty quiet. So our fish, we have this cute fish that of course begs to be some bright color, but it's very small. So I have to remember to fade out as I hit the outer third of the circle so that it can, this peacock color can gently mix in with the turquoise that I picked. So another fun thing I might want to do is I do have a couple of blender pencils. And I can feel that this is turned slick. It has already burnished, but there is still tooth left. And I'm not surprised. I could sharpen this up again and try to go in, but I think by the way it feels, it might work really well with a blending pencil. And I do have a couple of liquid blenders to explore as well. So for now, I am just going to grab my chunk. It has broken off a couple of times. A chunk of Full Blender Bright, Caran d'Ache, which you can't buy anymore in this form. I think I bought a 3-pack a long time ago. And so I'm hoping that you're seeing the tooth melt away as I take this. This is a very soft, non-scratchy type of a blender pencil. The Color is the scratchiest one. I have a set of pencils that came with one, and then I bought a 5-pack from Temu, I believe. Temu still has some really good prices, but I will tell you, you have to watch, because they ebb and flow. So like Amazon might have the great pricing one day, and then 2 days later Temu does. So it's probably better that you keep tabs on both sites. Check out the prices, watch them fluctuate, don't be in a big hurry, and then figure out which one really does offer the best deal based on whether or not you're willing to wait, because Temu does have a longer wait time. And if you buy the big, like the 520s, which they had my 520 set that I bought for $93, it was $75.50. But it was coming by boat, and it was going to take 3 weeks to get it. And I really wanted that instant gratification. So I think this blender tool, this particular pencil is working nicely. And I might off to the side try, I don't have a wet one with me. I have an alcohol marker and water-based blender markers. 2 of them, a Stampin' Up! One, and what is the other one? A Marvy, I think. All right, let's do a little coloring. I can do a lot more cleanup with that later. And I'm setting this in the dish with the silver. So here's this matte feeling silvery for the metallics right next to my white. And it even looks like the white, unless it's just an illusion, the white may be a little bit bigger diameter. But I will tell you the core size is on both of these, which I'm way too close to be able to show you that the core size. They're both about the same. They're probably a 3.0. They're not very big. But that's what gives them that light feeling. Okay, so for the like kelp, I'm going to go with a couple of different tones. I like this one color for a dark seagrass called Scouring Rush. I just really like that name. Like I said, one of these days I am going to take a set and color by name. So here is Scouring Rush. And when you look at the barrel colors, I would say that this color is more deep green than what I see here. So the real color is a little bit darker than the barrel. But I'm going to at the same time grab a light green. I'm going to look for, well, we have neon. There's Vigorous Green, which is bright neon. But I am going to grab the chartreuse green. I still have a little bit of a cough. I have my electric eraser, because you can see all over the place where I went over the lines. All right, I think this oak, I don't know what I'm going to do with the ocean-going oak leaf. I don't know if I have my brush here. But this is not a soft enough pencil to really have to worry about. I don't even know if we're still focused. I'm going to do... Well, if I was out of focus that whole time, I apologize. I get going. All right, so just gonna pick some random. That does not look like a coral. This looks like a repeat of that. Okay. I have a repeat over here. I see no dots. There were dots on this one. There's dots there or there. So I think I'm just going to pick this one. And now I'm going to switch to my dark green Scouring Rush. Because of how dark this middle area is, I might see if I want to have the darks be kind of along the perimeter. My coral is going to be orangey red. This green, by the way, is way softer feeling than the background, kind of blue and turquoise, which is interesting. A lot of times I find that the green, it's not soft, it's more, the pigment is more greeny. I was just gonna see if I can mix a little bit of the lighter color here. And then I think I'm gonna do a middle green for some of the other elements. Oh, how are we doing for time? We're good. Wow, I haven't run out of time yet. That's a miracle. Okay, so I've got a color called lettuce green. It's kind of neutral though. I'm trying to go more vibrant. I'm just going to grab Vigorous Green because it's a neon. Let's see what Vigorous, we'll make the oak Vigorous Green. Nice. And I was thinking this fish, when it comes down to it, he might be a fluorescent fish. Yeah, that's a nice soft feeling neon. I find the neons to be not very pigmented. I had heard that the Irojiten neons are very pigmented. Let's do this one up here. Okay, I am going to look for a coral color. I see scarlet looks pretty vibrant. I'm going to set these greens in the thing. I need probably at least one more green. Scarlet is the brightest red. It actually looks pink, but on my sample it's an EX color, so it is one of the 10 extras. And it's already pretty sharp. I might, because that's so long, and then this is a long one, I might see if I can do a little color combo with a lighter color at the ends. That needs to be sharpened. Now we're at 45. I think everything else is good. Oh, the fish. I'm gonna do the fish. I have what other colors do I have for the fish? This is Plastic Pink F1. Yeah, these are nice and smooth and buttery. We've got an orange. We have two of them in a row. Equatorial orange. There we go. One very bright colored fluorescent fish. All right, so I am going to finish this. I will go ahead and add some more colors, finish this all off, because it's, you know, it's far enough done. It's kind of like a wonderful experiment with these new Irojiten pencils. And then I will pick out colors for these leaves over here for tomorrow, which will be autumn leaves. So do all of the YouTube things, like, share, comment, and consider subscribing. And I will see you all back here tomorrow to color in another circle with the Irojitens to finish off our week. See you then.